Good morning. Welcome to Gruber Power Hour. I am Elvis Venter, and I got none other than Lenny Hodges here on my right to your left. Lenny, say something to them.
Good morning.
Man, a few words. All right. Well, it is Friday, the weekend of Memorial Day, and I don't think anyone wants to be here, but we are. And everyone wants to be home. Everyone wants to be on vacation. They probably want to go and honor the military and all those. So yeah, in honor of Memorial Day, we got the background. We're gonna do a special segment in the beginning for Did You Know that Lenny's gonna take and he's gonna run with, and he's gonna give us something to work with. Let's go, Lenny.
Okay, first off is, did you know when Memorial Day was first celebrated and when it became an official holiday?
I don't. Let's get some people, some comments out there with that question. What was that question again?
When was Memorial Day first celebrated, and then when did it become an official national holiday?
Yeah, it's a great question. Let's get some people out there. Claude already starts the chat box, the chat group saying, "What?" And then Grant Mobile says, "Good morning, gentlemen." Well, good morning, good sir, Grant. And then Gruber Motor Company, we are here. We are here. We are ready to go. The team has assembled, and we're ready to do this. So that the question is, Claude Dixon says, "T, don't know what that means. Help me out. I'm a little slow today." LinkedIn, Velvis Mentor says, "Does Elvis only have one shirt and one?" I can't read that part.
I would say hoodie.
Hoodie and one hat. Velvis Mentor. That's what the LinkedIn says? Whatever.
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently, I got one hoodie, one shirt. No, the shirt is actually gray this time, not black. I switched it up. And then, yes, I do like this hoodie, and I'm going for a specific look for the show. And it's my signature look for Gruber Power. So I'm kind of sticking to that. And you know what? That means it worked because you're paying attention, Velvis Mentor, because you caught my my gimmick, my image. So yes, to answer that, I do only have one and one and one, and it hangs at the studio, and I throw it on before. Claude Dixon says, to your question, 1946. Grant Mobile says 1919. Which one is closer?
1946 is actually the closest one for when it became a federal holiday.
Let's say 1958.
And then 1919 is actually the closest date to when we first celebrated it.
So what is it then for both?
So let's pull up the first slide.
Let's bring that first slide into, is this it?
Yes, right down at the bottom here. So Memorial Day is the time to remember our patriotic heroes who sacrificed their lives to help all of us live in freedom. And, well, from 1775 till 2024, we've lost an estimated 1.35 million fatalities.
Wow.
Right?
What is that we're looking at?
This is actually in Pearl Harbor, and Claude just recently visited this area. So this is actually the USS Arizona Memorial.
I've also visited this area. My ancestors are from Oahu. My grandma's from Oahu.
Wow.
My great-grandfather, my Apo man, actually saw the bombing of Pearl Harbor from the roof of his house.
Wow. But again, you have to explain to me, because I'm not from this country, what is that we're looking at exactly?
That is the USS Arizona battleship.
Okay.
It was sunk in 40.
And that's a memorial or an observatory. Can you go on the top of
that's a walkway. It's
a walkway.
It oversees the actual USS Arizona is actually sunk in only 40 feet of water.
Wow.
It's only 40 feet of water it sunk in. It was
That's
actually,
how you can even see it from an aerial.
What happened was it actually had three bombs direct hit its ammunition dump in the front of the vessel, which made it explode, it capsized, and then it sunk into 40 feet of water. And then so they built a memorial on there, and then of course the memorial has 21 windows that access a 21 gun salute constantly for the ones who did not survive.
No, that's powerful.
Exactly.
That's really wild to see. Okay. So then, what are the two docks to the one to the right and one a little bit farther to
Those
the
are
left?
just observatory decks.
You can go to.
I believe so. I haven't never been able to visit, so I'm not sure. But according to what the Pearl Harbor Museum states, I think those are other decks you can go out and visit.
Wow. So Claude Dixon says 1941. Then he says Claude was just there, very humbling, and he said there's still oil bubbling up in the water today.
Yeah, they say it's the tears of the ones who were lost
Oh man,
in the USS Arizona. Yeah,
that's emotional. That's powerful. That's a lot of emotions and all of that. Wow, that's
Exactly.
wild. That's really wild to see. Well,
and
we honor them. We honor everyone that fought for our country.
the symbolic thing here is that 1.35 million is since the Revolutionary War, once we first had our first army, up until
So that's
last
how
year.
many.
That's including all the wars, all the skirmishes the U.S. has ever been
Everything
in.
together, we've lost over
We've won-
1.35
right,
million
in combat
soldiers.
right. Right. So
That's wild. In my country,
Oh.
I was born in Romania. Actually, I can't remember when they removed this obligation in law, but in my country, at a certain point, you were obligated to go to the military. At 17 or 18, you were obligated to go.
a lot of countries have that.
Yeah. Here, you enlist. In my country, at a certain age, you're obligated to go for 2 years, and then you can leave.
Yeah, I know, like Israel, your country, South Korea. There's a lot that 2 years you have to mandate to do it.
Yeah, it was mandated, correct.
So
Here's the next. What's the next one?
well, let's get the answer for the first one. Pull up the
Okay.
slide again.
Let's pull that up.
So Memorial Day, making it official, was first celebrated May 30th, 1868.
Yeah, Grant was
observed
closest to that.
by placing flowers on the graves of Union and Confederate soldiers. During the first national celebration, President James Garfield made a speech at Arlington National Cemetery. The reason why they chose May, or toward the end of May, is the states at the time that were part of the Union, they figured all of them had flowers in bloom, and they could actually place the flowers on all the graves at the national cemetery, at the national cemeteries throughout the country.
So it was an appropriate time for this season.
Right. And then, of course, Memorial Day was not recognized as an official federal holiday until 1971, and it's celebrated on the last Monday of May each year.
Very, very fascinating. Very strong.
Yep.
Now next slide is our last one for the Did You Knows.
I'm not even going to ask a question on this one because it's kind of hard to actually put it in a question form, I guess. But in 2000, Congress established a national moment of remembrance, which asked Americans to pause for 1 minute at 3 p.m. according to your own time zone, wherever you're living at the time. In an act of national unity, the time was chosen because 3 p.m. is the time when most Americans are enjoying their freedoms on national holidays.
Wow.
So it's a common time when people want to gather for certain events.
So 3 p.m. today, 3 p.m. tomorrow, 3 p.m. Sunday, 3 p.m. Monday.
It would actually be 3 p.m. on Monday,
On
the actual
Monday.
national holiday. It'll be at
Okay.
3 p.m. You
That's when
pause
you
for
have
a minute.
moment of
Mhm.
silence.
A moment
and,
of silence.
and respect to those.
Yep.
Claude says post-Civil War 1867.
I didn't know, Claude. I didn't know they had Google out in their canyons right now.
I guess they do for him. Instagram, Limit Breaker says, hi. Hello, Limit Breaker. Great to have you on the show. Velvis Mentor, thanks for jumping on the show as well. And we can't thank you guys enough for everyone jumping on and being part of this experience and the show for us today. Lenny, you got anything else for us for the Memorial Day
Nope.
weekend coming up?
This is just to remember the ones that sacrificed. They gave the ultimate sacrifice
Yes,
for
they
us to
did.
be able to live in our freedoms here and enjoy our freedoms.
Yep. And for someone like me that comes from a different country, and I was born in a communist country, I'm very appreciative of what America has to offer, what this world has been through. But I'm very appreciative to the USA. Like coming here from the age of 3 and having my family here established and my kids born here, like what the U.S. has done and what they've done for us and the sacrifice of the military, I've never seen and experienced anywhere else. So I have the utmost respect for someone like you, Lenny, or anyone that's ever served. and lost their lives or have just come out of it, and served. So God bless, the USA. Grant Mobile just said, God bless the USA. Amen to that, Grant. And God bless America and God bless the world. And this is a great time this weekend to reflect on our freedoms, on what we have, to be grateful for what we have. And let's put aside what we don't have and let's focus on all the great things that we do have. So we're very grateful for that. We're grateful for the team here. We got a great group. We got Cass, we got AA Ron, we got you, we got everyone jumping here. So very thankful and grateful. But to the gist of the show and what this place is about is we're jumping straight into the UPS again. And we're going to go a little bit different this time. We're going to kind of bring in a little bit of technical approach, but we're going to veer a little bit to the right, in my perspective, on questions and things to be aware of as a UPS professional, someone in the UPS world, on the right questions to ask as an account manager, the right questions to ask when we have our sales seekers support team, the SSTs. If you're talking to a customer, even if you're a tech support, even if you're on a tech call, even if you're a service individual, if you're in the UPS world, I think it's very important to understand and to know what questions to ask your customer and the individual that has a UPS. Is very crucial. So before we get into what I believe there's a number of them, and you can come up with many, but what are some crucial primary ones? We want to understand the four main components of what the UPS is. Again, we're talking about the uninterruptible power supply, uninterruptible power systems. Lenny calls it UPS. I don't go that far. I just say UPS. And again, that can be confused with the shipping group. But again, there's four parts. And if it's not a modular system, there's the rectifier, there's the inverter, there's the batteries, and the static bypass switch inside the UPS. And this is a component style UPS. And then even in modulars, we'll have like the batteries and the power modules and the static bypass switch. But sometimes we may not have a rectifier or other certain aspects in the UPS.
Those actually be built, when it comes to modular, the inverter and your rectifier are actually inside of the power module.
Exactly. I was actually going to speak to that. It's built within the power module. Right. So the modular is very convenient in that aspect. Yep. And it's a very popular, and probably, for me, I like to push that unit very much. So it's user friendly. So I like that UPS a lot. But again, for the main components in the UPS, the first one we kind of touched on right now is the rectifier charger. And the rectifier charger converts AC power from the main supply to DC power, which then uses to recharge the batteries. That's what the rectifier and the charger do, is to charge and recharge the batteries. What do you want to speak to the rectifier charger, since you're even more in depth and you delve in, since you repair this type of equipment, you troubleshoot, and you're the first person and the last person that tests our UPSs when it comes from our inventory. So you have an in-depth on even rectifiers and chargers.
Well, on the rectifier side, inside the power module, it's just basically going to be one type of board. You have one board that's going to have your inverter board. You have one board that is your rectifier board, and then you have a power factor control. And then, of course, you have like a control card.
And when you say board, what do you mean? Surfboard, skateboard?
Printed circuit board.
PCB, it's printed PCB. Circuit board. Right. So it's that green, electronic-y, IT-looking circuit board.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly.
See, Aaron, I knew you had those questions. You were just afraid to ask them. So I asked them for you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. I could smell you thinking.
But it makes it convenient, because if one goes out, you replace the one, and so you don't really have to.
The board itself?
The board itself.
So they're pretty easy to repair or interchangeable.
Depending on what's bad on the board, it actually could be easy. Sometimes, though, when it comes to a rectifier or inverter board, they mostly, in our systems, they blow up. They'll actually just blow up because they get so much heat, so much voltage to it, and then they just wear out, and they'll actually end up blowing up, or there's a power surge that'll blow it up.
Okay.
So but it's not something like you have with a component UPS where you can actually replace them, over time, or replace the actual components. These, you just have to wait till they fill.
Okay.
There is no repairing it or doing anything beforehand. So because when it comes to those, is if it works, you leave it alone
Right.
and let it be.
Now, the inverter is another part in the UPS that converts the DC power from the batteries to AC power. So we talked about the rectifier, which does the first part. So the inverter is opposite of that, providing continuous clean power supply. So the inverter provides the charge to the power, and then the rectifier provides power, DC power to the batteries. So it's they work hand in hand. One does this, the other one does that. So it converts DC power and it gives clean power to the connected equipment. The UPS and the inverter inverts that and gives clean power to, if you're backing up your computers, your phones, your structure, your lights, whatever you're connecting it to, your medical equipment. We have a lot of UPSs that are attached to medical equipment, and once it starts working, the UPS, it converts it to clean power, and then it provides it to the unit.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's what it does. And think of it in a smaller scale form. Your power supplies or your charging equipment that you use in your car.
Yeah.
You know, where you can plug into a cigarette lighter. I don't know how many people remember cigarette lighters.
Yeah, right.
But basically, your power source, your 12-volt power sources that are in your cars coming from your battery, you'll plug, actually, those power supplies are inverters.
Yeah.
You plug those in into everything to provide, and they have an inverter and a transformer built into them, you know, in order to provide the power. It's like a miniature UPS.
Yeah.
But you know, they're built like that also, to where they're providing clean power and to charge and everything through it also.
Very nice. And now the third one is the batteries. And again, we have two main, not styles, but two main versions how we provide batteries. It's the loose batteries is what I call them. Mm-hmm. And then they get connected and to each other, and then they provide the charge and they provide the electrical power for the UPS, and it provides the electrical runtime. It provides, so there's the loose batteries, and then what we also do is we do battery modules is the easiest way, where they go in variety of cases, battery cartridges, but we call them battery modules, where now it's a set of 8 or 10 or maybe 5 batteries go inside a case, plastic or metal, and they get connected there, and now it's one large module that goes inside the UPS. And again, those usually live in a modular UPS, and that's usually, like, rule of thumb overall is the battery module. So batteries are very important because the UPS turns on and powers, but the batteries they work together. It gives you time. It gives you 5 minutes. It gives you 10 minutes. It gives you hours to keep your equipment going. So batteries are very important for us because we sell them and we provide them and we build them so we can put them inside the UPS. And it's a very, again, batteries are not so scientific. It's very understanding, like, we have the batteries for it. But now there's the VRLA, there's lead acid, there's wet cell, and then lithium is really, making a big splash, pun intended.
To piggyback on what you mentioned earlier as far as your runtime, I get this question a lot, is how do you determine your runtime when it comes to our batteries and a modular unit? Well, your runtime is basically based on how many batteries you have.
Correct.
What the charge is of the batteries, cumulative.
Yes.
Cumulative charge of the batteries, and then also what your load percentage is, your power coming out.
Correct.
That's providing. That's going to give you what your runtime is.
And I'm going to add another one. The type of voltage, the ampage of your battery.
Well, that's what I was saying. The load coming from it.
Yes. But the
ties,
ampage of that battery, if it's a 7 amp hour compared to an 18 amp hour, you're going to get more runtime on an 18 amp hour battery. Same thing, there's certain UPSs, the battery cabinets can take anywhere from like a 200 amp hour all the way up, like an 80 amp hour all the way up to 150. So some just want the basic runtime. Some want 100 plus, or they want larger ampage. So the ampage is what gives you more runtime. Correct. I just wanted to
because
squeeze that piece in.
That's what'll happen when you have like a single phase
Correct.
Type of ups, which is basically a commercial style of what you have in your home.
Yes.
So those usually give you about 20 to 30 minutes, and then you scale up to even an 80K unit. We just got done with an 80K unit this morning. One battery cabinet can give you roughly an hour of runtime.
It can, depending on the load.
Depending on the load. Exactly.
Why don't you take this question from Claude? See what he's trying to ask here.
What's a typical battery module configuration? Well, it depends on what type of unit you're putting it into. I mean, like I said, a single phase unit could take anywhere from one module, which will have maybe 2 to 6 batteries in the module itself, the module tray.
Up to 10.
Well, that's for a single phase.
Yes.
And then once you get into the larger units, you can go anywhere from 8 to 10 batteries.
No, the SYBT5, it takes 10.
It takes 10.
It's a single phase.
Well, no, actually, the LX is actually a split phase when it comes to that.
But it's still in the single phase family, just like the Smart Ups.
A little bit.
Yes.
A little bit.
But it's still in. No, the LX, I'm going to push back on this. I like this sort of conversation. The LX is a single phase. It is a split phase where you can do 120 and 208, correct?
No, but when you're looking at it...
But you can't put it on a 3-phase.
You can't put it on a 3-phase circuit.
So it's still in the single phase. And the SYBT5 takes 10 batteries.
It does take 10 batteries.
I only know that because I had to build too many, and I had to throw away the ones I built and rebuild them until I got it right. At another company, not here.
I wonder where that's at.
No comment. But yeah, to his question, I'm just.
But
throwing in some jabs.
It just depends on what type of unit you have.
Correct.
And what the modules that go inside of it. You know how many batteries actually go inside the models. So there's different configurations. There's many out there.
Yeah.
I know we service a lot of APC, and even with the difference in the APC, your side bats, your side bat 5s, your side bat 2s, the BTU 1s, stuff like that. I mean, they vary.
Yeah.
And then of course you get into Eaton, and you get into Liebert.
Correct.
And then of course their modules are going to
so
be
usually,
different.
honestly, if you go to you scale it all the way down for a small UPS or Smart Ups, you can do one battery for a little RBC. But that's more on the really, really small 15, like 1 kVA or half a kVA. But it starts with one battery, and then typical is minimal 2 at that point, and you're going to like the more larger, not larger, but up in scale. And then usually 2, like he said, 4, 6, 8. But the SYBTU1 and the SYBTU2 takes 8 batteries inside, and the SYBT5 takes 10. But those are just for the exact, the PX and the LX. But to his, it can go from 1 to 2, 2 and up.
Exactly. And then of course we have some Smart Ups where it just takes 2 individual batteries and they're tied together by a fuse.
Correct. Yeah.
There's no tray to it.
But in APC's grand scheme of things, it's still called an RBC. And that's called a replacement battery cartridge.
Yep.
And they still consider that something of a battery module. Gruber Motor Company, one of our biggest successes was pioneering the rebuilding of UPS battery modules. Correct. Knowing how to rebuild battery modules is a great skill and great service that Gruber has. And the UPS world figured out. And they figured it out to kind of sometimes compete against brand new, to where they can put brand new batteries in aged case, but a metal case is a metal case. There's not much issues there, to where that's why Gruber really learned how to do that in a quick, and with 40 years in, they figured out that technology, how to rebuild and refurbish, to where, again, it's almost identical because it is brand new batteries. So you're going to get a very strong comparison and a good competitor in that form. Carl Linveld said, "What is this? You have to be more specific." I'd love to give you an answer, but this is a podcast for UPS and critical power for unreliable power supply systems. We're a company. Well, I'm happy YouTube told you to watch this. It's for battery backups. We provide UPS. And we just educate our customers, we educate our internal people, we educate anyone that's willing to watch about critical power. And what critical power is, Carl, it's basically we figured out how to build batteries inside metal cases, and it keeps the power on at your house. It keeps it for a customer, for a data center, and it keeps power when there's any power spikes or power failures or outages. We figured out, and Gruber figured out 40 years ago, how to supply that type of equipment. And now Gruber says, go green motivated that. No more packs going to landfill. Correct. Claude Dixon says, Elvis, are you finding that customers understand the benefits of a modular system versus component? Claude, I am, because I constantly provide that. I constantly provide modular. I give them both options, but I do see them going to modular because it gives the customer that freedom and that power to choose if they want to go up and down, if they want more runtime, and it's not as cost aggressive compared to component. Cost modular, you have a more of a friendly budget to work with on how you want to approach it. So yeah, I do find customers in that.
It also eliminates more of the single point of failure when it comes to that.
Correct.
Too, because in the modular you can replace one or two pieces to get it up and running.
You don't have to
again,
break down the whole thing and figure out.
But if there's something that one component kills the whole unit, then you got a single point of failure. So the modular kind of gives you that advantage too, where it can still run with faults, and you can replace pieces as necessary because it has backup capabilities. So that's also a selling point also.
Carl Lindveld says, who are these strange men talking about batteries? Well, if we're strange, I'm Elvis. This is Lenny. So hopefully we're not that strange to you. Carl says, I understand, but this is not relevant to my interests. I do not understand why YouTube would suggest it to me. Well, go ask YouTube and see what they say. Gruber Motor Company, we are very cool guys in the critical power world, Carl. Correct. Does Gruber own and maintain the horse, animals, and buggies in the carriages? No, we don't. Gruber Motor Company, YouTube knows what you need, Carl. Pay attention. Carl Lindfeld, the military funeral is confusing to me. I don't understand how it's relevant to battery power. Well, the beginning of the show, we want to honor the Memorial Day weekend. So even though it may not be directly tied and relevant to the UPS, we always like to do segments called Did You Know? And Lenny served in the military, and we wanted to give him honor and show him respect. On what he's done and the sacrifice he gave. So the background, go ahead, Lenny. Where is that from exactly again, and give him that.
This is actually Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia.
Correct.
And then, like I said, they're taking one home. He's coming home for his final resting place. I hate to say burial, but his final resting place here in the, I guess, modern world.
Yes.
The physical world.
Exactly.
Let's say the physical world.
And Gruber being, a larger company for over 40 years, we have all types of people from all walks of life. And Lenny is one that served in the military, and he's had to sacrifice his life and his body for many years, and he goes through personal stuff because of all that he's done for our country. So we wanted this segment, even though it's for UPS, we wanted to pay homage and have that in the background the whole time to constantly remind ourselves and remember
the ones who gave the ultimate sacrifice. And Lenny's brother in arms. Carl, why are these Gruber men wearing sunglasses indoors? It doesn't make sense. So I can answer that if you want or not. You let me know if you want me to answer that question for you. And you said, hello, Elvis and Lenny, please remove your sunglasses. You're not in direct sunlight. Well, you're not in the studio. There's so many crazy lights here. You'd be surprised. Then Velvis Mentor Jr., we got all these Velvis mentors today, says, do not remove your sunglasses. Carl is crazy. I don't think Carl's crazy. He's just wondering, jumping in on the first time. And hey, Carl, I actually do appreciate you and encourage you that you're still staying here and you're watching this. So, and I will explain to you why we wear the glasses. And it's a fair question because I was wondering at one point too, why am I wearing glasses? But it's also just to just not see our eyes wandering, and if we're reading something, it's distracting that we're more looking at reading than and
and we don't want to be we don't want to distract you guys on that. So that's why Pete started these podcasts years ago and wearing sunglasses.
Don't let them fool you. They're actually AI robots.
And we're part of the ChatGPT symbiote family. We're AI robots. That one too. Lenny's are prescription glasses though. Lenny's are.
I'm blind.
Yeah, he's blind without them. So he needs those more than ever. Claude said Arlington, an epic sombering place. Carl Linfield, please demand an answer. Well, you got your answer. I'm of sound mind, gentlemen. Fantastic. Perhaps they're prescription. They are for Lenny. I wear them here and there. I don't mind. It's part of the motif, the shtick. It don't bother me.
It also is his one pair that goes with his hat, his
Correct.
hoodie, and his shirt.
They match. Truth Social says Velvis Mentor Jr. What am I reading here? Let me read the whole thing. The third Carl needs to put sunglasses on to understand. Carl, you need to put your sunglasses to understand. Then you will be in the AI world with us. So put on your shades and jump in the show. So our last, we're going to wrap it up because we kind of jumped in a lot. Our last part of it is, and I'm going to kind of fast forward to the ending, is us as UPS employees, and we sell this type of equipment. We provide this service. It's really beneficial to understand and to ask the right questions to people, to customers, to industries and employees and anyone on what this equipment is. Carl Lenfield says, I'm sorry, is it Elvis or Elvis? My human ears and brain are not correctly. It's Elvis, but someone on Instagram and True Social is calling me, they're saying they're Velvis mentors. So I'll let them have it. It doesn't bother me. People have called me worse, so if it's Velvis or Elvis, it don't bother me. So here, just to go kind of rattle through these really quick. When you talk to a customer or you call an industry or a company, some of the questions you need to ask, and I would highly recommend, is first, do you have a service contract? Is always a good one. But I would say for me personally, I don't lead with that. I lead with, hey, how old are your batteries? When's the last time you checked your UPS error messages? You deal with error messages on displays on UPS all the time. What do your logs say? How old is your UPS? How old are your batteries? When's the last time someone came and checked on your unit and did a preventative maintenance? Then I would go to, do you have a service contract? Yes or no? And then you lead with that. They don't? Okay, well, what can we do to cover your unit so you have a warranty? That's the whole point. And to keep your unit safe, and we are your support system and your support group in that. If they don't have those answers there, follow up with an email, ask them those questions, do your due diligence and say, hey, can you get me this information? Send me pictures, send me part numbers, things of that nature. So I would start with, how old are your batteries? When's the last time you checked your unit? How old is your unit? Do you have any errors? Do you have any display messages? Do you have a service contract? Do you have warranty on your equipment? When's the last time you did anything on your UPS? How's it operating? Can I get pictures of it? Can I get part numbers? Is this the equipment you have? What equipment do you have? So kind of with those, I would follow up and I would lead with, and I would be, just consistent on asking those type of questions. Carl Linfield says, oh, I see. That's humorous. Haha. Now, where may I purchase your battery products? Is there an internet website? Yes. So you can actually go to gruberpowerservices.com, and we have a website. But if you're very interested, Carl, you can reach out to any of us. You can even call our main line at 602-863-2655, and you can ask for me, Elvis, not Velvis, and then they'll patch you through, and then we could talk from there if you have any questions, if you're interested. Because it sounded like you weren't interested, and now you're asking about batteries. So you're throwing mixed signals here, but I'm the one that can help you and guide you with that, and anyone else in our industry can help you with that. So hopefully that answers any of your questions. But go to gruberpowerservices.com, and you can go from there. And again, call us at 602-863-2655 and just ask for Elvis. I'm the only one with that name here, and I should be able to help you out with if you're looking for anything specific, or if you need just some help to narrow it down. So yes. So again, the equipment we have in stock, the services we provide, we're very robust and very strong on maintenance contracts. We offer a lot of service contracts, and we're really good at that. When I enter in the site URL into my browser, should I spell it Gruber? No, not with the umlaut. It's just Gruber. It's not German. Even though the last name is German, it's not spelled out in a German language. So go ahead with that. In GruberPowerServices.com, or if you put Gruber Power Services in Google, it'll automatically show that we're here in Phoenix. Lenny, you got anything to cap us off with and call it for what it is? It's the Memorial Day weekend. It's creeping up on us.
No, just enjoy the weekend with your family and be safe out there.
Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to everyone. Appreciate everyone jumping in. And you guys have a great one. Jump in and subscribe on our YouTube, on our Instagram, on our Twitter X, on our website, on our LinkedIn. Feel free to just jump in and find us at Gruber Power Services. And yeah, we can go from there. Appreciate everyone. Have a great weekend. And thank you. Bye.